If you're inspo tanks, and make no mistake, you've come to the right place. Just give to Neil the time to straight up blow your mind with a new show of Drawing a Blank.
Welcome back to Drawing a Blank. This week's episode was voted on by my patrons. Donating just $1 a month lets you become part of the monthly art request streams, join my Discord server, and make suggestions for what I draw in these videos. Supporting me on Patreon lets me know that you guys are interested in what I'm doing and honestly helps make all of this possible. I can't thank my current patrons enough. If you're interested, there's a link below. Without further ado, it's time to talk again about warrior OCs. Wildfur is a born and raised Shadow Clan cat. I've talked about him briefly in my episode about Spottedshadow, so check that one out if you haven't. Speaking of which, thanks to everyone who's done fan art of Spotty since then. It makes my heart burst with happiness looking at all this lovely art of my girl. Thank you again so much. Wildfur grew up in the Lake Territories of Shadow Clan with his brother Patchpaw. Wildkit and Patchkit were the sons of Crowstalker and Blueflower, two highly respected Shadow Clan warriors who, unfortunately after having kids together, stopped being mates. So Wildkit and Patchkit were raised by multiple Shadow Clan nursery queens, and Blueflower and Crowstalker would only check in on the two brothers from time to time, their visits decreasing as the two got older. As a side note here, because I know that if I don't say anything now, I'm going to get 1,000 comments about this, yes, Patchpaw and Wildpaw are calicos and male, and yes, I do know that that is genetically unlikely, and yes, I know that they would be sterile as a result. In my honest opinion, I don't think that this should matter at all in the world of warriors, and if you do, you're just kind of being a gatekeeping elitist prick, because the books obviously don't care. Also, please stop commenting about this. I swear I've seen so many people try to tell me this cat genetics factoid like it's surprising news on my videos, or even other places where calico toms aren't even mentioned, and at this point it's just kind of irritating, especially since I was well aware of this fact before even making YouTube videos in the first place. I think most people, especially those in the warriors community, already know about the rarity of male calico cats. Wildfur used to be even more obviously calico before I started doing some redesigns and got tired of hearing about this fact over and over and over again. I'm happy with his redesign, don't get me wrong, but I think policing people's warrior OCs over actual cat genetics is something we should stop. And it really limits creativity for no good reason other than to boost your ego when you think you know more about cat genetics than someone else. Anyway, without having any real strong parental figures, Wildkit and Patchkit were as close as two brothers could be. Roughhousing in the nursery soon became a problem though, as they were quite large toms, and the queens worried about the safety of their own kits. So Hawkstar, the Shadow Clan leader, begrudgingly made Wildpaw and Patchpaw apprentices a moon early, though they were strictly regulated to camp duties and border patrols until their 6th moon. Excited at first about becoming apprentices early, Wildpaw and Patchpaw soon became restless with their daily routine of checking elders for ticks and exploring the territory but not being allowed to learn to hunt or fight. Wildpaw was especially becoming resentful and bitter of their upbringing, as he started to notice that no one in the clan seemed to pay any more attention to them as apprentices than when they were just kits. Patchpaw is a bit more optimistic and naive, but he was also starting to feel the pressure to make sure that they stood out to the clan. So one day after weeks of stormy weather, the brothers decide to go out and explore Shadow Clan territory by themselves and hunt to try and bring back as much food as they can to make sure Shadow Clan takes notice of them. But, as you can probably guess by my tone of voice, it didn't end well. Patchpaw died on their hunting trip, and Wildpaw was left with survivor's guilt and a clan that seemed to resent him now as much as he resented them. Hawkstar allowed Wildpaw's training to switch to be in normal apprentices after the clan deputy Leafstorm reported that Wildpaw was being increasingly more and more unruly and disrespectful, and Hawkstar hoped that advancing his training would help fix Wildpaw's disposition and keep him too busy to continue wallowing in his brother's death. She also changed his mentor to Tigerstripe, a young Tom with attitude problems of his own, but a loyal warrior in his own right. Hawkstar's hope is that Wildpaw could relate to his mentor and move forward, But Tiger Stripe had no intention of giving Wildpaw that chance, as Tiger Stripe already saw Wildpaw as a failure of a Shadow Clan cat and unworthy of his mentorship. This toxic relationship never got back to Hawkstar, however, and Wildpaw was left feeling even more bitter and alone in his own clan, with no real friends and no one to confide in, as well as a mentor that bullied and oppressed him. Luckily, Wildpaw finds Ravenpaw. At gatherings, the clans stand on equal ground, and even though Wildpaw and Ravenpaw are from two different clans, they feel a connection to each other stronger than they do to any of their clanmates. As they get their warrior names, Wildfur and Spottedshadow, that bond only grows stronger. For Wildfur, seeing Spottedshadow at the gatherings was his only escape in his life from Shadow Clan. To say that Wildfur falls completely head over heels for Spottedshadow would be an understatement. And pretty much everyone can see it, which definitely doesn't help Wildfur's reputation, but he can hardly care. It's thanks to Spottedshadow that he can finally start to heal from his brother's death and move on, seeing that there are other cats out there who can care for him for who he is without caring about what he can give them back in return. When Spottedshadow is banned from gatherings, Wildfur tries to convince her to meet him in secret, but Spottedshadow refuses, saying that it would be disloyal to their clans. Heartbroken over this, Wildfur accepts Spottedsshadow's wishes, but he's now left with no one again. Waiting for Spottedshadow to return to gatherings is nearly killing him. Wildfur's anger and bitterness in Shadow Clan isn't a part of himself that Wildfur is proud of, but he really doesn't know how else to cope. In truth, Wildfur wishes he could love his clan and his clanmates as much as Spottedshadow loves hers, but Shadow Clan is full of bad memories, and in Wildfur's eyes, cats he just can't forgive, even if he knows it's wrong or unfair. Part of him wishes he could just leave Shadow Clan behind forever, but that would also mean no more gatherings, and no more seeing Spottedshadow. And Wildfur isn't emotionally ready to cut ties with the only other cat who's made him happy, even if he's not sure he really deserves that much. Poor Wildfur. Well, that puts us up to the beginning of Star Clan battles, and at the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be seeing more Star Clan battles characters soon, I promise. Have a great day, and please stay inspired.
Can you hear, can you hear, can you hear my voice? Coming through, coming through, coming through the noise.